My wife gave up her dream for me. She didn't make a big announcement. She didn't cry about it. She just quietly packed up her ambitions, put them in a box somewhere, and never talked about them again. And I let her. For years, I told myself she was happy, that she chose this life, that she had everything she needed. I was wrong. And finding out the truth, the real truth, is something I think about every single morning when I wake up next to her. My name is Daniel. I'm 65 years old, and this is the story of the woman who loved me more than I deserved, and what I'm doing about it now. I want you to understand something about Margaret before I tell you the rest. She was not a quiet woman who had small dreams. When I met her at 24, she was the most alive person in any room she walked into. She was finishing her architecture degree. She had already won a small design competition. Nothing huge, but enough that her professor pulled her aside and told her she had something real, something special. She used to spread her drawings across our kitchen table on Sunday mornings. Big sheets of paper covered in lines and measurements and these small, careful sketches of buildings she imagined. She'd talk about them for hours, the way the light would move through a window she'd designed, the way a staircase could feel like it was floating. She saw things other people didn't see. I loved watching her talk about those drawings. I just didn't love it enough to protect it. We got married when we were 26. Young and happy and completely sure about each other. 2 years later, our son was born. And here's where I have to be honest with you. Really honest. The way I wasn't honest with myself for a long time. We sat down one evening when Margaret was 6 months pregnant, and we talked about what came next. Childcare costs, my salary, her job, the practicalities. And I said, I remember the exact words, "It just makes more sense for you to stay home, at least for a few years." She was quiet for a moment, then she nodded. "Okay," she said, "a few years." That was 39 years ago. She never went back. Not because I stopped her, not because I told her she couldn't. I never said that. I told myself I never stood in her way, but I never made it easy for her to go back either. I never said, "Margaret, what do you need? How can we make this work?" I never sat down with her drawings and said, "Let's figure out how you can do this." I just kept assuming she was okay. I just kept assuming she had chosen this. I just kept being grateful for everything she did, without ever asking what it cost her. It was our 35th anniversary when I found out. We'd had a nice dinner, nothing fancy. She's never been interested in fancy. Just a quiet restaurant, good food, the kind of evening where you talk about everything and nothing and feel close in the easy way you do after decades together. We came home, she made tea. We sat in the living room like we had 10,000 times before. And then, out of nowhere, she said something that stopped me completely. She said, "Do you ever wonder what my buildings would have looked like?" Not angry, not sad even, just curious. Like she was asking a genuine question about a road she hadn't taken. I looked at her. "Margaret, I'm not upset," she said quickly. "I'm really not. I just think about it sometimes. What I might have designed, what I might have built." She said it so simply, like it was a small thing, but I sat there in that living room with my tea going cold in my hands, and I felt something land in my chest that I'm not sure I have the right words for. All those Sunday mornings with her drawings spread across the table, all those hours she talked about light and staircases and the way a building could make a person feel, all of that, all of it, was sitting somewhere in a box, quiet, untouched, because we had decided on one practical evening when she was 6 months pregnant that it made more sense for her to stay home. I had never, not once in 35 years, asked her if she missed it. I had never asked because I was afraid of the answer, and I think, somewhere underneath everything, I had known that all along. I want to talk to you directly for a second. I know some of you listening to this are going to say, "She chose it. Nobody forced her." And you're right, she did choose it. But here's what I didn't understand for a long time. A choice made out of love is still a sacrifice. And a sacrifice that is never acknowledged, never seen, never thanked, never even noticed, slowly becomes a wound, a quiet one, the kind that doesn't bleed, the kind that just sits there under the surface for years. Margaret never complained. That's the thing about people who love deeply. They don't always tell you when they're hurting. They just adjust. They just keep going. They trust that you see them. I didn't see her. And if you are in a relationship right now, if you share your life with someone, I want to ask you something. Do you know what your partner gave up to be with you? Not the big things, not the dramatic sacrifices, the quiet ones, the slow ones, the ones that happen so gradually that neither of you fully noticed until one evening, over cold tea, she asks a simple question, and the answer breaks you open. Because here is what I have learned at 65. Love is not just what you give, it is also what you notice. And I had stopped noticing Margaret a very long time ago. Not because I stopped loving her, I loved her completely, but I had gotten so used to everything she did, the way she kept our home, raised our children, supported every decision I made, that I stopped seeing it as something she was choosing. It just became the background of my life, like furniture, like air. She deserved better than that. That night, after our anniversary dinner, I couldn't sleep. I lay there listening to her breathe beside me, and I thought about every Sunday morning with those drawings. I thought about the professor who told her she had something special. I thought about the buildings she never got to design, sitting unbuilt somewhere in a world that never knew to miss them. And I made a decision, not a dramatic one, not a grand gesture, just a quiet decision in the dark. I was going to stop assuming she was okay. I was going to start asking. The next morning, I got up before her. I made coffee, her coffee, the way she actually likes it, which I had somehow not paid enough attention to know properly for years. I had to ask our daughter. When Margaret came downstairs, I was sitting at the kitchen table. I had found one of her old drawings, just one, from a folder in the back of the closet that I had always known was there and never opened. It was a building she had designed in her final year of university, a community library, small, warm, with these beautiful arched windows that she had drawn with such care you could feel the light coming through them just by looking at the lines. I put it on the table in front of her. She stopped when she saw it, just for a second. Something moved across her face that I couldn't quite read. "Where did you find that?" she asked. "The closet," I said. "I should have looked sooner. I'm sorry I didn't." She sat down. She picked it up. She was quiet for a long time. "It was a good building," she said finally, softly. "It was a beautiful building," I said. "You should have gotten to build it." She looked at me then, and she didn't say anything. She didn't have to. I'm not telling you this story because I fixed everything. I didn't. You cannot give back 39 years. You cannot build the buildings that were never built. You cannot go back to that practical evening with the tea and the budgets and say the different thing. What you can do, what I am trying to do every single day now, is show up differently. I started small. I asked Margaret what she would design now, if she could design anything. She laughed at first like it was a silly question. I told her I was serious. I wanted to know. She thought about it for a week. Then one Sunday morning, just like when we were young, she spread some paper across the kitchen table and started sketching. A small house, a garden studio, something for herself. I sat across from her with my coffee and I watched her draw. I didn't check my phone. I didn't think about anything else. I just watched her do the thing she was made to do. It was the best Sunday morning I can remember in 20 years. Here is what I know now at 65 that I wish I had understood at 26. The person you love is not a constant. They are not finished. They are not simply the role they play in your life. Your wife, your partner, your person. They are still becoming. They still have things inside them that want to grow, to be seen, to matter. And your job, if you love them, is to keep asking who they are. Not who they were when you met. Not who they have been while they were busy taking care of you. Who they are now. Who they are still becoming. Margaret gave me her life. Not dramatically, not with speeches or sacrifice. Just steadily, quietly, faithfully, the way she does everything. The rest of my life is my answer to that. Every Sunday morning at the kitchen table. Every coffee made the way she actually likes it. Every time I put down my phone and look at her, really look at her, and remember that I am the lucky one, that I have always been the lucky one. I am 65 years old. I have, if I am fortunate, maybe 20 or 25 years left. That is not very much time, but it is enough time to be the partner she always deserved. I'm going to use every single day of it. If this story made you think of someone, your partner, your parent, someone you've been taking for granted without meaning to, go to them today. Not with a speech, just with attention, just with a question. Ask them what they gave up. Ask them what they still dream about, and then listen, really listen. because the greatest thing you can give the person you love is the feeling that they are still being seen. Leave a comment and tell me who in your life deserves more of your attention. I'd really like to know. And if you want to hear more stories like this, real ones from real lives, with no easy endings but always the truth, subscribe. I'm not going anywhere. I've still got things to say, and this time I'm not waiting.